Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 5 of our flipping 100 mil to 1 billion GP series. In this episode, we have 145.7 mil, hoping to get over a 150 mil cash stack today, with our goal being a 160 mil stack by the end of this episode. Of course, the best way we're going to do that is with overnight flips, so let's head over to the Grand Exchange and get into it. We're at the Grand Exchange. I'm going to list a ton of overnight flips, and one item I have been looking at is the Blighted Super Restore Potion. Now, the Blighted Super Restore Potion has been trading between around 6,700 to 6,900 the past couple of days or so I do think it's going to stay in this range overnight, which is going to make it a very easy flip. Here are the overnight flips that we have set. I actually have a very good feeling about all of these overnights. Specifically, I'm interested in looking at the Broad Bolts. This is not one we flipped on the series, but that I know is a super consistent, super easy flip, so that should make us some easy profit. Another item I think will be really easy profit that's actually already buying is the Green Dragon Leather. This has been super stable the past few days, very similar to how the Blighted Super Restores looked. I think both of these trades will be a lot more consistent than they typically are, but still hold around the same margins that you'd normally get. Anyway, I'm going to leave this for a few hours, come back to it, and see how much profit we've actually made. It is the next day, and that is what I love to see on the Grand Exchange. Almost all of our items bought. The only ones that didn't were the Camelot teleports, but everything else we listed properly as we got most of the quantity to come through. I'm going to turn around and sell these on the Grand Exchange and see how much money we've made. I just logged back in, and that is what I love to see. Almost all of our items have sold off for a profit of 1.68 million GP overnight, which is crazy. The only item that's not really working out for us right now is the Rings of Recoil, which I do think are going to sell if I leave it for a few more hours, so I'm not going to touch it. For now, though, I'm going to collect my profit and do a couple more somewhat active flips, some flips that I'll do over the next 3 or 4 hours that I'm going to sell back before I head to bed. What I'm going to do is look for items that are trading near their daily lows, or if not, looking like they're going to trend upwards, and the Air Orb is the first one that I think is going to work out well for us. Because this is not technically an overnight flip, I'm not going to list over the full limit of those. I'm just going to list the 4-hour limit and let them buy out. I'm going to primarily focus on higher volume stuff, and the reason that is because I want to be able to sell these items back quickly once I log back in later, because I will want to list overnight flips at that point. So just going to flip very high volume stuff in the meantime, and sharks are definitely going to be on that list, one of my favorite high volume items to flip, and we'll get a full limit of those listed. Here are our passive flips for the next few hours. 3 to 4 hours is when I'm looking to come back and sell these items. The one that's really risky is the Purple Sweets. I'm not really sure about this, and I'm trying to buy 5,000 of them, which is quite a lot, so hopefully that does go in our direction. But everything else should work out fine. Maybe not the sale of Graveyard Teleports, they might not buy. They are a little bit on the lower volume side, but everything else is going to look good. Fingers crossed for some gains. We're back, and it's been about 4.5 hours. Now, it looks like we've had some decent success buying a couple of items. The only hope is we're able to sell them back in a decent time frame, so that way I can set some more overnight flips for tonight. But regardless, I do think we're going to have some success with these few items, so let's list them back and see what kind of profit we're looking at. At this point, it's definitely looking like we're going to have to leave a few of these items overnight, specifically the Magic Logs and the Salve Graveyard Teleports, and also I suspect the Purple Sweets are going to take a little bit longer as well, but the Sharks and the Diamond Dragon Bolts E should sell, and we might even get all of the Rings of Recoil off by that point as well. And it's been about 20 minutes or so. We couldn't get the Rings of Recoil to finish selling, or the Magic Logs, but the Diamond Dragon Bolts E, Sharks, and Purple Sweets did sell, and the Purple Sweets actually made us a pretty good profit, 145k on those, and 110k on the Sharks, which is very good as well. 186k on the Diamond Dragon Bolts E, that's going to total us to about a 454k profit just in that small amount of flipping. Of course, as the remaining items sell off, we'll make more, but I think it's time to set our overnights. We have 5 slots, 92 mil, pretty much going to flip high volume again and see how much we can make. Here are all the overnight flips I have listed. Now, I don't have a ton of confidence in these overnight flips, and the reason that is because tomorrow is update day, and every time there's an update in RuneScape, item prices typically fluctuate a lot, and a lot of funky things can happen depending on items that are needed. So I'm not like super confident in the overnights right now, but regardless, I do think we'll at least make some profit, but not as much as last night. The goal for tonight is hopefully at least a mil. Preferably 1.5 would be nice, but we'll see what happens. Also trying some new items, the soaked pages, I've never flipped these before, so that is completely new to me. Also, the super combat potions are not something I typically flip, so I'm curious to see how they will actually end up doing. It is the next morning, and as I suspected, not the best overnight session. Now, we did get these soaked pages, some of the runite bolts, and half of these overscales, which is pretty good, but nothing else actually worked out for us. Anyway, I'm going to cancel the offers that are not working and sell our offers back. And we are back later in the day. I did leave some flips to buy throughout the day, but most of them didn't do too much. But the runite bolts actually did end up buying out, at least halfway, so that was pretty nice. Also, we sold these soaked pages for 839 GP each, which is crazy. We made 300k total just for them alone, and also these aura skills made us 180k. So I'm really not too upset about all of those flips. That being said, it could have been a little bit better. No worries though, I did know it was update day, so I wasn't expecting too much. Gonna cancel the rest of the flips that have not come through. The salve graveyard teleports, we're gonna leave those for a little bit longer, but everything else needs to go. I left the runite bolts for about an hour and a half to sell, and sure enough, they actually did sell, which is great. Wasn't a huge margin on them. I think we made like 60k for them, which pretty low, but we'll take it just to get out of that flip, and at least we made some money. Forgot I had some extra cash in the bank, so we actually are at a 145 mil stack right now, and with the salve graveyard teleports, that adds another 3.3 mil, so looking very good on gains so far. Again, going to set a whole nother round of overnight flips, likely going to flip the soaked pages again. Those worked out super well for us. Maybe these Zulrah scales again. I do expect higher volumes with all the update stuff, so we might go for them. One very interesting thing I noticed, the teleport to houses crashed all the way down to 430 GP, so literally I just instant bought the full quantity of them, and it totaled out to 451 GP each, which is not bad at all. I think we're going to be able to sell these for 475 once they recover, so that's honestly going to be a lot of free GP right there, getting about 20 GP for every teleport to house, and getting a full limit on that. Very good. Alright, we have our flips listed. Now, I'm going to start taking a little bit more risk in the series, maybe flip some things that I'm not super familiar with, but I always like to balance out my risky flips with safe higher volume ones. What I've considered risky in this scenario specifically is the brimstone rings and obsidian plate bodies, kind of risky. The soaked pages are risky as well just because the volume on them is so low, but everything else, actually the bolt of cloth too, but everything else looks perfectly fine. The teleport to houses are going to sell, I can just feel it. They just crash down a ton. The Zulrah scales I'm not super confident about, so I'm only getting 60k of them, and the reason that is they're starting to uptrend pretty aggressively. They're already up to 149 right now, 150, so it would take quite a lot for them to come back down to 144 GP, because again, it is such a high volume item. That means I'm not going to get as many overnight most likely, which is why I'm only going for 60k. Anyway, very excited to see how this plays out overnight, especially with these obsidian plate bodies. If my calculations are correct, we could be getting about 25 to 30k if we're lucky on these plate bodies. All they have to do is buy out overnight. We're hoping for the best. And it is the next morning. We've had some decent luck overnight buying a bunch of items. Almost got all of these soaked pages, which is good since they are a lower volume item. We got all the dragon darts and the Zulrah scales, and the bolts of cloth and obsidian plate bodies have bought at least a little bit. Now, the teleport to houses I had listed at 475, but right now they're currently selling for 473, so I undercut by 1 GP just to try to sell all of them off. Besides that though, I'm going to list everything back on the exchange. I'm going to actually leave the Bolt of Cloth offer and the Brimstone Ring offer and Obsidian Plate Body offer for that matter for the rest of the day and sell them at the end of the day. I think these will work out if we give them a little bit more time to operate. We're back again. It has been a few hours, but we did have some things end up selling, which is great. The Brimstone Rings did not buy, and the Salve Graveyard Teleports have had no action, but I think everything else, honestly, is going to work out very well. The Soak Pages, Dragon Darts, and the Teleport to Houses and Zulrah Scales ended up selling. We made about 860k total across all of those. I'm going to put new offers in, readjust, and sell the offers that we do have, and hopefully walk away with a fair amount of profit. I do want to keep things pretty exciting on this series, so I'm going to go ahead and try to flip the new Ancient Essence. As far as I understand, this item is very similar to like a Zulrah Scale or a Revenant Ether, and they're holding pretty steady between around 180 and 190 and have been since the update launched. Now this could crash and be very bad for us, but I kind of want to try something new, see if we can make some money on it. It looks like we maybe instant bought it. G-Tracker seems to be a little bit off for this one, but I'm going to list it back for around 188, and hopefully we can have some success selling that off. It's literally been 2 minutes, and all of the Ancient Essence sold back. 88k profit on that, which is really nice, actually. Did not expect that to happen so quickly. Now, there is a couple of things I am concerned about here. That is the Obsidian Plate Body. Now, these came down a lot in price. I did not think the update today would affect them, but it does seem like it did. I do think it will recover within like a day. It is showing good signs of coming back up in price, but it is pretty far down, about 40k from where I bought them, and it's a good portion of our cash stack, 37 mil, which is not great. Now, the Salve Graveyard Teleports, similar situation on those, but they are really plummeting right now in price. We can probably sell them back for, like, my guess is maybe a 80k loss at this point, maybe like 80 to 200k, somewhere in that range. Haven't done the math yet, but we just don't have that many of them. What I might actually do is end up buying more of these overnight and try to sell them a little bit quicker the next time around, because they've honestly come down like 800 GP each, which is a lot for even a low volume item. So gonna monitor that one pretty closely. The Bolts of Cloth, not worried about those, but anyway, had to go on a little bit of rant there. Let's set some more flips, get some more money rolling in, and make some bank. I'm going to try to do a few active flips right now because I have like an hour or two before I go to bed, so I want to see if I can generate some active profit in the meantime. Just going to be flipping super casually while I flip on my main account. The Revenant Ether, though, is more of a longer-term one, but the Blood Runes, Carol's Leather Skirt, Amulet of Fury, and Staff of the Dead should trade within the next couple of minutes, so I will keep a close eye on them and make sure that the offers are not sitting for too long. First flip complete, the Blood Runes have sold off, 50k profit on those, not too bad. An easy flip on the Amulets of Fury, 88k in total across 8 of them, kind of low, but we'll take it. I was trying to flip the Carol's Leather Skirts, but I keep getting overcut on them, so we're going to flip something else instead, although we did make 37k on the one that we did buy and sell. The Lightbearer Ring looks like it has a really good margin right now. We just made 180k flipping 3 of them, which is a 60k margin for each, so not as big as I thought, but a really good flip nonetheless. I'm going to keep flipping these. And we also have the Brimstone Rings, which have an even better margin, 147k for every Brimstone Ring right now. They take a little bit longer to flip, and we might have trouble with this last one, but they have a very solid margin. Also trying to flip these Zolandra Teleports as they have a 2k margin, but I am not going to invest too heavily into these, just because they are crashing pretty bad right now. That is always the best thing about update days, is a lot of the PVM items fluctuate a ton, which means you can flip items for well above their stated margins, which is what I'm doing with the Brimstone Ring. Another round of the Lightbearers flipped. This one is going super quick right now, so I think we're just going to milk it out for the limit, so I have 2 more before we hit limit on that. These Zolandra teleports are looking insane right now, guys. We're making like 2k for every single one we flip. Currently, right now, we only have 143 of them, and not even all of them have sold off, and we're already up 54k. I'm going to try to milk this margin as best I can to make some bank. I just realized something. The Ancient Essence has a huge limit, so we should just buy a ton of these. You can buy 150k every 4 hours at least. I don't know if it's even higher than this. I haven't figured it out yet, but that is literally free GP, so let's go for it. We're going to leave it a little bit on the lower side because I do suspect it's going to fluctuate at least a little bit. So let's get in cheap, try to flip a huge limit, and literally make bank. Literally 245k profit flipping 143 Zolandra teleports. We are definitely going back and doing that again. Here we go. The Ancient Essence is buying. Look how fast this stuff buys, man. This is insane. Now, obviously, I know it's update day, so the volumes are going to be extra crazy. But look, we can buy a huge limit of these. And last time, we flipped these for an 8 GP margin, and that's after tax as well. So I suspect we're going to be able to make a lot of money here. Probably around 500k if things go correctly. The Brimstone Ring is looking a little stagnant right now, so I'm actually going to turn around and sell this for a little bit lower just to try to get out of it and get into another flip. We still made 79k on that second Brimstone Ring, so it's hard to be upset by that, although I was hoping for another 170k profit. Hey, just dropping into this video to let you know that we have a Discord group dedicated to learning how to flip in old school RuneScape, so if you're a beginner flipper or an advanced player trying to learn more about flipping, feel free to join us in our Discord group with the link in the description below. Anyway, back to the video. All of the Ancient Essence has bought. I'm actually like so hyped to flip this item right now. I haven't felt this much flipping hype in quite a while, so let's go back and list these for 181 each. We'll see if we can sell that off completely and get an amazing profit. I also just realized that we bought more Ancient Essence before this, right? So the limit is not 150k, it's actually above that, so I have no idea how much of this stuff you can buy every 4 hours. The information is not yet online, but this could be an insane flip in the future, guys. Oh my goodness, this stuff basically instantly sold. 1.3 mil profit right now just on the Ancient Essence, and we don't even know if we're at limit. This is insane. 1.4 mil total profit on the Ancient Essence. I'm going to try and flip more of this just because I don't know what the limit is, right? So we might as well try to list more and make even more profit. What is the limit on this Ancient Essence? I have no idea, but I am sorry, guys. This item is just crazy and is making me super hype right now. There is a potential that Jagex overlooks something and let the 4-hour limits be way too high. I think you need 150,000 to charge the Imbued Heart permanently, if I'm not mistaken. So you really shouldn't need more than that every 4 hours. But as you can see, we already have another 56,000. This thing is buying so fast, I can't even commentate quickly enough. We're almost at the complete limit. What? I mean, this is nuts. I've never seen an item like this the entire time I flipped. This is insane. So last night, I ended up just logging off after my active flipping session, but there is one thing that is a little bit freaky, and that is the Ancient Essence. Now, these all actually dropped down to 140 GP last night. Luckily, they're sitting at about 170, 160, 170, so I do think I can sell them for about break even, the remaining amount. But I really do not want these to crash further on us, so I'm going to adjust the price here and try to get the rest of these off for just like a few JP loss each, because I will be losing money on the tax. Wow, lucky for us, I just listed for 172 and they're already starting to sell, so that is actually amazing. We're not going to take any heavy losses on the Ancient Essence, and there it is, it's sold off completely. I am very happy about that. We are avoiding a ton of risk by doing this. We are currently up 4 mil in the past 12 hours, so things are going very well. What I'm going to do is set some flips for over the day and log in later tonight to see how my flips actually end up going. Here are the flips we have set. There is some good news with the obsidian plate bodies, by the way. They are going back up in price and they're very close to our target price, so I'm very happy about that. The Salve Graveyard teleports, we're going to give it another full day basically, another 24 hours, and then we're just going to dump them if nothing's happening because they don't really look like they're recovering in price, and it's such a low volume item that I don't really see it going anywhere anytime soon. But besides that, we have the Rings of Dueling we're trying to flip. Revenant Ether, we're trying to get a little bit more of this because it is coming down a lot in price. And we already have a bunch here, so why not double down, try to get a little bit more, and try to ride that pump back up. Now, the Zamorak and Hasta is our higher risk flip of the day, and then followed by the Green Dragon Leather as well. The reason that I'm flipping kind of on the safe side with high volume items is because after updates, the market gets very, very volatile. And I think the worst thing we can do in this series right now is lose a ton of money trying to do something extremely risky. Yes, there is time for risk in this series, but right now, I just don't feel comfortable with the market conditions. Alright, I am back, and I was actually gone for the entire weekend at a wedding, and a lot of stuff has moved around. Honestly, a lot of good gains as well. 500k total on the Bolts of Cloth, 500k on the Green Dragon Leather, and 880k on the Obsidian Plate Bodies. Now, the only thing that is maybe a little concerning is the Revenant Ether and the Rings of Dueling. I have not checked the price on these yet, but I'm going to check them right now and sell them back, and hopefully we'll get a pretty good profit there as well. But again, we could be down on those, and we might have to mitigate that situation as best as possible. Also, we're going to dump the Salve Graveyard teleports. I mean, if they haven't sold in the entire weekend, then I don't think we're going to get lucky with these. And the Zamorak and Hastas as well, we're just going to cancel those. I think we lost about 400k on the Salve Graveyard teleports, which honestly, only for having 833 of them, that's a pretty big loss, but that's alright, we can make up for it. Our current profit projection on the Rings of Dueling is about a 600k profit, which is honestly pretty low considering we have 30,000 of them, but that's fine, we will definitely take the money. I'm more excited about the Revenant Ether guys. Right now we can sell them all for 10.1 mil, and we bought them all for 9.4 mil. So again, another really good gain on those, looking at about a 500k profit. Actually, I think that is a 600k profit. That was some very bad mental math on my part. There it is, profit secured on the Revenant Ether. Also, the Rings of Dueling right now are crashing. They just crashed like 80 GP in a minute. So I'm going to try to buy some for cheaper in hopes of selling them off for higher. But it already looks like we're selling them off for 842 as we speak. So I might just cancel this offer and get out of them. In the sake of making some major profits, I'm going to get a little bit risky and try and flip some Master Wands. Master Wands are down bad in price right now. They have just been on a straight downtrend, honestly, for the past 3 weeks or so. So my goal is to try to buy a few right now and actively flip them. Currently, the margin is looking like 75k for every Master Wand, which is actually pretty good. And my guess is they're getting to almost their cheapest point, so I think the risk is a lot smaller than it was a week or two ago. First Master Wand flipped, it did not take long at all, and we actually made 65k on that one, so we'll see how many we can trade back and forth. As long as the margin looks good, I'm going to keep trying it. Starting to list a few more flips as well, and one of those is the Ancient Essence. Earlier in this episode, we had a crazy run on the Ancient Essence, but the price has settled down a lot more, so we're going to take it slow on those. I hope these prices stay for the Ancient Essence, because it is such an easy flip, and it's very similar to Zulver Scales, so consistent, but the limit every 4 hours is so freaking high. 300,000 is the limit, so if you trade a full volume of these, you could easily be netting a mil right now, which is really good considering you can do that every 4 hours. We snuck a few more easy flips through for some more money. We were able to flip the Ancient Essence for 300k, which is pretty good. Very happy with that. We flipped a couple of Master Wands as well. We got this one off for a 51k profit, the Osmuten's Fang for a 230k profit, which also not that bad at all. And we were able to get the Mahogany Planks off for an absolute whale of a margin, 1.2 mil alone, guys, on the Mahogany Planks. You can see here that we bought them for 26.9 mil, and we were able to sell them for 28.1 mil. Super good flip there. Anyway, I'm going to collect everything and then dump the rest of these Rings of Dueling because they have just not been able to sell off. Although we were able to get most of them sold, there is still that just remaining quantity that will not go, so we're going to dump that right now. We sold the last of the rings for 800 GP each, and with the taxes that did eat into our profits a little bit, but not a huge deal. We profited mostly on the Rings of Dueling, walking away with about 515k total profit. That is going to be the end of the episode today, and in this episode we made 12.8 mil from flipping alone, which is actually pretty good, but still a little bit less than our profit goal of 160 mil at the end of this episode. The reason I'm trying to push for those cash stack gains so hard is because I know once I have a little bit more GP in my stack, I am more willing to take larger risks, which can pay off greatly. But right now, I really don't want to lose any GP, and I'm sort of in a defensive mindset because I want to keep progressing on this series. Anyway, I'm going to put on screen right now the top 10 flips we had in this episode. This is going to be something I'll do going forward. That way, you guys can see the best items that worked out for us, and hopefully they will actually give you some ideas on what to flip as well and help you improve your flipping. That is going to be it for this episode. If you haven't seen the other episodes in this series, I highly recommend you go back and watch them. I'll put them on screen for you right now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.